Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is Monday, August the 19th, 2024, and I almost said walking boxing there. I've done it so many times now. I think I've done like 25 episodes or whatever it's been, but I love doing it. It gives me something to do in the morning and pass the time. So if you've been listening to it or watching it, whatever it is, really appreciate it. We've got a fair few in the chat already, so thanks to everyone that's tuning in either live now or after the fact on Spotify. And don't forget, if you can't catch this live, then just check out Spotify and all good. You can listen to it in the car going to work or training or whatever it is that you might want to do. So thank you to everyone that listens every week on Spotify. We have about 100 people that listen to it, so I appreciate that a lot as well. So we've got a few comments to go through as usual. The first one's in there a little bit jumbled, so I'm going to go. I've got the live stream going on another screen at the moment, so I can see the comments in order because they're all over the place. I can see we've got Asbot, Damien, Double G, old mate Big J. We've got Tommy Dokes. How are you there, Tommy? Kyle Champion. I'm not sure we've seen much of you in the last few weeks, so welcome to the show. And Glenn, just to name a few that are in the chat already. All right, guys, let's get off to proceedings. Let's start with Damien. Where's that there? All right. I am Damien. All right. Hey, mate, you're going to be in America during the finals. This is the AFL finals, of course. Have you heard about the wild card round? Sounds damn amazing. It's definitely happening. Way too much money to be made on that. So they are looking to introduce the wild card system into the AFL, which would be 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9 on the bye weekend. So, but yes, Damien, I will be in America. I'm going on September the 3rd, which is, a couple of weeks away. So I've got 2 more shows before I go. So I'll give you all the details, no doubt, before I go. But yeah, look, I was looking a bit shaky last week. Your mob are done and dusted now, the Bombers. But the Blues, well, we're not there yet. We've still got to win or rely on, I think it's Fremantle or one of them to lose. So we're not there yet, but good win on the weekend by 11 goals. We had half our side out and still won by 11 goals. So let's hope it's kickstart us into the rest of the year. All right, still on with Damien there. Where are you? Where is it? All right, okay. I'll look for it here. Where are we? All right, that's it. Spewing, there aren't many big boxing events this month. September is jam-packed, though. P.S. Screw the Haneys. Yeah, well, if you didn't see my video, or better yet, even seen it on social media yourself, you would have seen that Devin Haney with the, let's not call it a punch, the attempted strike on the carnival worker. Yeah, look, I just said on walking boxing as well. I mean, why would you, one, put yourself in that position, and 2, actually be the one that throws the punch? It just doesn't make sense. It just seems to be these young guys. I just can't get my head around it. In this day and age of the amount of money they make and what's on the line for these guys, and they just act like little school children. I mean, what would possess you to surround, I think there was 1, maybe 2, whatever it was, to surround some carnival workers and then lash out with a punch and then walk off with your hands in the pocket like, it wasn't me, I didn't do anything, I'm just little Devin Haney. I wouldn't do that sort of stuff. Own up to it. Should be coming out and apologising, and better yet, maybe he needs to have a lawsuit slapped on him just to make him wake up to himself. It's just, I think, was it last year he had the gun episode as well? I mean, come on. This is a guy that's supposedly from a good upbringing, so just, I don't know, I just don't get it. A 2-division world champion at a carnival, striking out at a carnival worker for God knows what. Whatever. Okay. All right. Tommy, where are you, Tommy? I can see your comment there. You were next. All right, solid win by Mbilli. Yes, it certainly was, Tommy. It was a very, very solid win. But for almost a 39-year-old Sergey, who has been, this is Derevyanchenko, whatever it is, who has been through wars and for 7 of the 10 rounds had 1 arm. Yeah, amazing effort. To go to decision is impressive. Ukraine boxers prove again just how tough they are. Yeah, they all just seem to be made of something different over there. Ukraine, Russia, Uzbekistan, you name it. They're just Kazakhstan, of course. They are just made of something different. You see it the same in UFC as well. But Yeah, one arm he had the torn bicep, I think they said, and yeah, look, and Billy did what he had to do. I would have thought, though, under the circumstances, Sergey Derevyanchenko being under duress, landing bombs left, right, and centre was Mbilli, that he might have had enough to get him out of there. And I'm just worried that if you can't get someone like Sergey, a 39-year-old Sergey Derevyanchenko out of there, then is he the real deal or not? So, but it does look like he's going to be in the mix for Canelo. So, yeah, it's I'm not sure I'm completely sold, if I'm being honest, Tommy. Still with Tommy. Where's your next one? About Tim Bradley, was it? Yes, there it is. Tim Bradley commentary kept saying they should stop the fight, even as far as going into the 10th round. Sergey, I'm sure, never been stopped before, played a factor. But do you think it should have been stopped? No, I don't, Tommy. Look, I think it's up to the corner and the fighter. I'm sure the fighter would want to continue, but maybe the fight should have been stopped, no doubt. But I think in that situation, you've got to leave it up to the fighter. Say, can you continue? This is not a guy who's been knocked down numerous times. He's got cuts and bruises all over him, although he was a little bit marked up afterwards. This is a guy, it was just the torn bicep. And look, Andrew Maloney just recently fought 12 rounds with the Mexican opponent with a torn bicep. He tore it just before the fight. Got through it. So I'm pretty sure with the adrenaline and everything, it didn't look good though, did it? Where it's just right hand after right hand. But no, look, with an injury like that, Tommy, I'm not that stressed. Not like it's a bad cut, or as I said, he's been knocked down and hurt and everything else. The torn bicep, if you think you can defend yourself, then let him go out there. I remember back in the day, Tommy, here in Australia, a guy went away with numerous times, Stephen Marks, fought with a broken arm. And I'm not joking, a full-on broken arm. He got hit that hard by his opponent. His name was Danny McGrail from South Australia. He could bang Danny McGrail, and he's hit him that hard. He's broken his arm. And Stephen Marks not only hung in there and kept throwing bombs, he won the fight. And this is up against an Australian champion, and he managed to win the fight. So, yeah, look, that was obviously a monumental effort. I don't recommend any fighters doing that anytime soon and trying to fight through with a broken arm. I mean, it was only an amateur fight, but in this instance, yeah, I'm not that stressed that they let it go. All right, so Mbilli, where is it? Mbilli versus Munguia would be a very good fight, or even Osles Iglesias, who fought on Mbilli undercard, would be a good fight. In my opinion, Mbilli didn't show me anything that says he's ready for Canelo. No, I don't think so, Tommy, but when's that stopped anyone? I don't think Berlanga's ready for Canelo either, but he's got the shot. And look, apart from David Benavides, I'm just not sure who else is there. I know Crawford is making some noise about wanting the Canelo fight, but Canelo has said so far he's not interested. So it could be in the mix. And when you think about it, he ticks the boxes. Exciting, comes to fight, got a bit of a following up there in Canada, but also very, very open to counter punches, telegraphs his punches, open to someone like Canelo to really target. So, again, he ticks all the boxes for Canelo at the stage of his career, doesn't he? So, I think it could be next. Let's see. Just going through the comments there. Big J. Where are you, Big J? These even out after a while, by the way, guys, but I'll just get through a few there. Your thoughts on Angelo DiCarlo's comment concerning Harry Garside? 100% correct. Why waste time on Garside when he did nothing and Senior and Parker did? Bugger Reagan. A little bit kinder than what you had to say earlier about Reagan. I think there's some stronger words with Reagan, Big J. Look, as far as Angelo's comments goes, I did comment on this on Walking Boxing. Look, on the surface, Angelo is 100% right. We should be focusing on Charlie Senior and Caitlin Parker. They did a great job to win bronze medals. Caitlin Parker, of course, the first female to win a medal at the Olympics. Charlie Senior coming on the back of Harry Garside. So, yes, on the surface, both of those fighters should have been interviewed first. I understand it. But on the flip side, you got to remember, the media are just dumbasses. They don't know anything. They probably don't even know who Charlie Senior and Caitlin Parker are, but they do know about Harry Garside. He touched everyone's heartstrings, or pulled everyone's heartstrings at the last Olympics, and he's been on different TV shows, and they've interviewed him, and he's that likable young guy, and he likes to paint his nails and wear dresses and all that sort of stuff. He's an interesting type of guy. He's not afraid to put his thoughts out there, and I just think to the media out there. They just want everything black and white. They don't want any colour in there. They don't want to be delving too deep into who deserves to be on TV for the interviews. They want the easiest person they can find that fits the bill, and Harry Garside did that. And look, it's not Harry's fault. We can't be pissed at Harry Garside. You get off the plane, and of course, if they ask you, you're going to jump on and do a quick interview. I get that. But yeah, as I said, on the surface, I agree. But on the other side, the Australian media wouldn't have a clue about any of the boxing team apart from Harry Garside. They wouldn't have probably a clue who won medals, who didn't. They wouldn't have it. They just don't have the first idea about it, and they don't care. That's the Australian media. But Harry Garside, again, as I said, he's a personality. He's colourful. He's, how do you say, on different different topics that are in the world at the moment, and that just fits the bill for the Australian media, Big J. But and Reagan, well, I think the least said about her, the better. I did say, was it the UFC fighter did the thing on the canvas? Oh, jeez. Oh, dear. And look, it's not the fact even, Big J, that Reagan performed the way she did, and maybe she should have been there, and maybe she shouldn't have, whatever, but it's just the attention it's drawn away from the people that actually did really well there. And I know there's all different things about why Reagan was there and why, and her husband being one of the selectors and everything else. But I think the least said about Reagan, the better. She was even at the Logies last night, apparently, or did a video conference or an appearance on screen. This is the media for you these days, Big J. This is our society, and we're going to forget about people that achieve legitimately, and we're going to focus on circus acts like this. But anyway, we'll move on. All right, I'm going to Sydney next week, says Big J, to get the fight signed with the chump. James Daly reckons I'm a 13-1 underdog. Wow. Well, if you want to throw your money in the dump, then bet on the chump. I like that. It's not bad. If you if you want to throw your money in the dump, then bet on the chump. I don't know. He looks in pretty good nick, if I'm going to be honest there, Big J. Jai McAllister. Last time I saw him, he looked in okay condition. So I think you might have your hands full with Jai McAllister, Big J, but I'm sure you'll sort it out at some stage. All right. There's Asbot. We're getting to the end of these initial comments here, guys. The Sheikh demanding Tim sit out for 2024, then dropping Tim when he decided to fight for the IBF title shows me Turki is an arrogant prick. We need more of what Tim's about, not another self-interested promoter. Yeah, well, again, if you're not quite sure what went down there, allegedly, I don't think has he? I'm not sure Tim has really had his say on it, but apparently he was asked to sit out the remainder of 2024 so that he could fight Terence Crawford in February. So, and I have my say on this, that I just don't think Turki Al-Sheikh understands what being a participant of this sport actually means. Being a non-fighter, I'm sure Oscar De La Hoya gets it. I'm sure someone like Eddie Hearn gets it. He's been around a long time in the business. Oscar's obviously been a superstar in the fight game for so many years. I'm sure people like Frank Warren and Bob Arum that get it. They've been around so long, but I just don't think that Turki Al-Sheikh gets it. He's looking at, again, in a black and white format. I don't want him to fight till February, so why can't he sit out? Well, mate, he's obviously got to put food on the table as well, but also he's a fighter. He fights. And I know a lot of fighters only want to fight once a year, and that's fine. Tim Tszyu is not that type of fighter. So I really support Tim Tszyu in this. I don't think there's any malice or anything like that in it. I just think it was more of the Turki Al-Sheikh probably just getting his nose bent out of shape, that Tim didn't listen to him and do what he wanted him to do. He did his own thing, and I really support Tim and the team for doing that. I mean, they've got a career to get on with. And who's to say that in February it comes around and Terence Crawford says, you know what, yeah, I'm a little bit done with this now. I'm 37 years old. I'm done. I can't get up for Tim Tszyu, so I'm out. Because he has made mention that being undisputed is not necessarily the be-all and end-all for him these days. And he wants the Canelo fight or nothing. This is Terence Crawford I'm talking about. So what happens if it gets to December, January, whatever it might be, Terence Crawford changes his mind, and there's Tim, who would have been out of the ring for nearly a year, got out or stepped out of the sport for that big fight, that massive payday. And here he is left holding the baby, especially after what happened to him earlier in the year. I don't think he wants to take any chances of being at the mercy of promoters or other fighters or anything like this. I think he's learnt, well, from what happened early in the year with Fundora, that it could all be happening 1 minute and then you're out. You're out of the gang the next minute. So, yeah, I'm all for Tim standing out and running the risk of upsetting Turki Al-Sheikh. He'll come calling again. If Crawford wants to fight Tszyu next year, I think you can be guaranteed that Turki Al-Sheikh will make that happen and just say, hey, it was all just a misunderstanding. I love Tim and we want him part of the team. That's what I think what will happen. All right. What's that, Damien? Let me know where I can place the bet. I've got $1,000 on Big J first round KO. That's with John McAllister. Yep. All right. Now, where's the bud? There it is. Tommy. Sorry, I'm almost at the end of these initial comments, guys. Trying to keep them in order. All right. If Bud versus Triple G was for real, this is there, Terence Crawford and Triple G, of course, has been maybe the rumour mill saying it could be Terence Crawford, Gennady Golovkin. It would tell me going undisputed at 154 isn't a priority at all. Yes. Triple G is a name, and if Bud outclasses him, let's say at 160, that could make Canelo a more viable option. Well, that might be the flip side, Tommy. And I didn't dismiss it. I talked about it. It might have been today or yesterday, whatever it was. But, yeah, I'm not dismissing it at all because when you think about it, if Turki Al-Sheikh has said to Bud, and maybe there has been some talk behind closed door with Canelo, maybe the talk with Canelo went along the lines of Canelo's team saying, well, we need to get some legitimacy here. We can't just have him coming up from 147, then look unimpressive at 154, then jump up and fight me at 168. We need to do something to get an interest in this fight and give this guy a perceived chance. Triple G comes around. I think we all agree that Triple G is well past his best. His last fight with Canelo wasn't great. So maybe they're looking at bringing Triple G back, give him his retirement fight. Bud beats Triple G, and all of a sudden we go, wow, Terence Crawford beat Triple G. Maybe he is for real at the weight. So now it gives the fight a little bit more cred, and maybe that's what they're after. So maybe Triple G is open to it. I haven't dismissed it. I doubt that it happens. I just think Triple G is a type of guy who it's not about the money. It's not all about this legacy and all that with Triple G. Itchy nose tonight. Sorry about that. So, yeah, it does make some sense. As I said, I doubt it, but I wouldn't totally discount it, if that makes sense, because it ticks all the boxes from both angles, gives Bud a little bit more legitimacy. Triple G gets a retirement fund, and Canelo gets himself a superstar opponent that I'm sure he fancies he can beat. And it's all in his favour. He gets another big payday as well, and everyone's happy. All right. Where is it? Abdullah. Did you check out... wrong comment there. Where is it? There it is. Did you check out Abdullah Mason over the weekend? I know he's 20, but these opponents are not anywhere on his level. Is it time for a real live body next? He said he wants a title shot by 2025. Well, I got no doubt they'll probably get him some sort of title shot in 2025, Tommy. But I'm with you there. He needs to step up the opponent. There is no doubt that the kid is a future superstar. I mean, he can fight. He's a very, very good young fighter. But I just don't see the sense in just feeding him stiff after stiff after stiff. Yes, it gets him a great record. Maybe sets himself up for a title shot in 2025. Keyshawn Davis is probably in the same boat a little bit, I think. But Abdullah Mason, I think, is the better fighter between him and Keyshawn Davis. But, yeah, I'm with you there, mate. And maybe what are we at? We're still only, mid-August of 2024. So there's probably time for one, if not two more fights for him this year. And maybe one more at the start of 2025. So maybe they might just step him up over the next sort of 6 to 9 months. But yeah, serious talent, Tommy, and I'm sure there's going to be some big fights for him down the track for young Abdullah Mason. I suppose the other thing to look at, being only 20 years old, maybe they just don't see the rush at all. I know, again, they want him to have that title shot in 2025, but maybe they take the same route as someone, say, Nikita Tszyu here in Australia, where they're not, Nikita's, was he 25, 26, whatever it is. So, but they're under no rush. They have a timeline for him, and they're going to give him the right opponent at the right time and build him up. maybe they will do that with Abdullah Mason and just say, hey, mate, I know you want a title shot, but just maybe get 3 or 4 half-decent fights in, and then we can look at it. So, but definitely a talent there, Tommy, no doubt about that, mate. Where did I see one from? Where was it? Double G. I know Putin is busy at the moment, but Costa needs to ask him to take Turkey on a quiet horse ride somewhere. Shirt's optional. Yep, good call. And gently remind Turkey about the right and wrong way to deal with him. Yes, not a bad option there, Double G. And I think Costa would have a fair bit of pull over there in Russia. So I know actually Costa's not overly happy that Tim's fighting Murtazaliev, of course, or Murtazaliev. But it's not a bad option there. Just to say, hey, Turkey, why don't you come with me? We might go for a nice leisurely ride, take the shirts off so we're nice and comfortable, flush the guns, and we can talk about Tszyu. All right, so we're almost there. I think we're there. All right. I'll just quickly have a look and see if I've missed any comments there, guys. I'm thinking pretty good. Big J, Crawford Triple G is just foolishness. You started this shit. Is that you talking to me? I'm just telling it the way it is, Big J. So check your social media. That's people talking about. I don't think you've obviously been facetious. Is that the word? Facetious to me, but it's all good. I didn't start the shit. I'm just repeating it. All right. We'll keep going down the comments there. I think I am there. All right. Anyone going to Tim's fight in Florida? I'd like to be there. When is it? October the 19th. I'll be there just before and just after that, Glenn. I'd love to go. I'm going to be actually in the States a week after Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, and I'm spewing because we're actually going to be in Dallas where the fight is a week later. So I sort of tried to look at maybe getting our flights changed, but the airlines go, yeah, that's great. We'll just have the full fare as a penalty. So you still got to pay for your original fare and then another fare on top of that just for the inconvenience. It's ridiculous, the airlines, what they do. So let us know, guys, if you're going to Florida. Go down to Universal Studios, Disney World. It's a nice holiday spot down in Florida. All right, Kyle. Do we have any news on Paulo Acuso? Looks like he's in camp. No, I was thinking that the other day too, Kyle. I know. Is he with... I'm not sure whether he's going to be doing something with Tasman Fighters. I know his brother is with, or looks to be with Tasman, so maybe Paulo is as well. But I did see some stuff on his social media there, Kyle, but as far as I know, nothing concrete as yet. Let us know if you've heard anything out there. Not convinced by Mbilli. Yeah, I'm the same, Glenn. Still got a fair way to go, but as I said, when's that stopped Canelo before by saying, hey, all right, ready or not, let's go. You fit the bill. What's that? Any prizes coming around? Yeah, well, I could probably do something. Actually, everyone that's, I think there was a few of you that ordered T-shirts. They have been ordered. I should have them any old day now. When I get them, I'll be in touch and let you know about payment details and postal details and all that sort of stuff. So, but as far as prizes, yeah, I might have to get another couple made, Luke, and we might give one away. I might have a boxing deep dive shirt or a couple of shirts there. We'll see what I can dig out. All right, the Chump is going to Tim's fight in October. I'm considering, if things go well, I'll be fighting the Chump on the undercard. This is a good thing about people like Jai, and I know there's a few others out there that, off their own bat, they go and actually, is this off your own bat, Jai? Let me know, because I know a lot of you guys get looked after by No Limit to go and report favourably on their events. Just saying, but if you're going, mate, that'd be great. So, Big J, you need to just wind it in a little bit. You need to lock it up a tad, and maybe you might get the golden press pass from No Limit and maybe be on the plane with all the boys over there. It would be a great event, though. All right, there's Andy. How you going there, mate? Hello to everyone. Yep, thank you. Yeah, Haney is a total grub. You said it. All right. Mark Wynn. Hi, Mark. Any word on Tim's IBF title fight? Let's hope it goes ahead and Buckrum doesn't develop a mystery hand injury like a few of his proposed opponents. As far as I know, Mark, it's still all systems go. And as we said, it's going to be in Florida on October 19th. So he does have this bad habit, though, Tim, doesn't he, of his opponents falling over for different reasons. We saw it with Zarafa. We saw it with Charlo. Even was it, I think Tony Harrison might have fallen over the first time around. Of course, Erickson Lubin as well. So who knows? But as far as I know, Mark, it is still all systems go. You better cross your fingers and your toes, I think, though. All right, Damien, Ray Gun and No Limit have a lot in common. They are both useless, pathetic. Okay. So that Canelo is almost out of opponents, and Mbilli, Benavidez, Morrell, you can chuck in Crawford, but that's circus fight at that weight. Yep, I agree, Kyle. I don't think Morrell is going to happen, if I'm being honest, Kyle. I don't think Canelo's interested in Morrell. He hasn't got a big enough profile or really done anything of note. High risk, very little reward. Benavidez, of course, maybe they're already in talks and they get it done next year. I would hate it to be a bit of a blemish on Canelo's career after he finishes, because Floyd still cops it on certain fronts. I would hate to see that for Canelo, because really David Benavidez is the only opponent that he's never faced that's been a credible opponent that's been around while Canelo's been boxing. So I would hope it gets done. Doesn't alter the way I see Canelo if he fights Benavidez or not. I think he's an all-time great first ballot Hall of Famer, an absolute legend of boxing. Probably arguably in the top 2 Mexican fighters of all time. But I'd still like to see that fight, Kyle. So let's hope he fights either Benavidez or Morrell. But I think Mbilli's definitely going to be in the mix. And then I would say my pick is Benavidez or Crawford in in September next year. It's a long time for Crawford not to fight, though, when you think about it. May is obviously in play as well. But after this one, he's got May and then September. I would think... Yeah, well, I suppose, in my opinion, it might be Crawford or Mbilli. I don't know. We're all guessing. But anyway, we'll see. I'm not sure whether Makhmudov, the heavyweight on co-main, goes now. Make him versus Joyce, and it will be the first fight ever with 0 defenses. Yeah, it wasn't great performance by him, wasn't it? He had all the backing, and Joyce obviously coming off a loss as well. Maybe they could fight to see whose career is over and who's back on track. I don't know. Mark, Garside paints his nails and wears dresses. Yeah, he does, Mark. Yes, when the mood strikes him. Don't in this day and age, Mark, he'll be one thing one day and something the next, and it's fluid, as they say. But Harry likes to sometimes wear dresses. He does ballet, which is probably not a bad thing when you think about it, for his conditioning and his footwork and balance and all that sort of stuff. But when the mood strikes him, Mark, he has been known to paint his nails and wear dresses. So he's a very interesting guy, and as I said before, that's what the media outlets are looking for. They're lazy. You've got to remember, media are lazy. They're after the easiest hit, and they don't want to do too much work. They're also scumbags, if you ask me, the media. The mainstream media, I think, are scumbags. And case in point today, saw our old mate, the Aussie promoter, on Instagram. He put a grab up. I'm getting off the topic a little bit here. Follow him. He's hilarious. Says some really interesting things. I know he's probably barred by nearly every promoter and boxer in Australia at the moment, but I like what he says. But he put up a thing from Channel 9 about Donald Trump. It was just an absolute hit piece from his nephew or something that says he's pretty much a monster, and it was shocking. But anyway, I don't mind if they want hits on their website and views and all the rest of it, but at least make it double or, both-sided. Show both sides of the coin. But check it out if you haven't seen it. It's a preview on the 60 Minutes site. It is just disgraceful that, and I don't care what side of politics you're. If they did the same thing to the Democrats, I'd be saying the thing. What an absolutely pathetic piece of journalism to drag out a disgruntled relative and get him to lay the boots in just so, you can get your episode watched and commented about. So pretty piss poor. What was I talking about? I've gone a little bit off track there, guys. Sorry about that. Makhmudov neck cracks look more intimidating when he's KOing people. Yes, Tommy, it certainly does. So you're flying out on the day of the Inouye fight. Yes, I am, Damien. Tuesday, September the 3rd. I'll be flying out. Now, normally he's on the Monday night, so I'm not quite sure why it's now of a Tuesday, but I suppose in a way, can do whatever he wants, can't he? But yeah, I'm flying out on Tuesday morning, I think, of the 3rd. Tim can easily fight in October and February. Well, he would for sure, Batman. Yeah, it's probably good. Yeah, good call, actually. Yeah, didn't even think of that. Why not fight, was it 19th of October? They could do it late February. So what's that, 4 months later? For Tim, no drama whatsoever. All right, Tommy, it looks like Tank isn't getting a Loma Shakur Zepeda fight next. So why would you like... So who would you like to see him take on at the end of the year? I heard Edwin De Los Santos could be next. I did hear that as well, Tommy. And again, I did my 10 fights I would like to see in 2024/2025 the other day, as per Turki Al-Sheikh saying to his legion of supporters, to his excellency, what 10 fights do you want me to make? I had Tank versus Zepeda. I would love to see that fight. Who knows? It could still happen. But the mix, any of those mixes is great, isn't it? Really, Tank, Loma, Shakur, Zepeda. Wow. I think I had Loma and Shakur as a more attractive fight for me, and Tank versus Zepeda, just because of the style makeup. But if it's not them, I got no idea, Tommy. I don't know who Tank fights. Who else is there? Maybe it's Bolchuk, whatever. No, Bolchuk was 154. You know the one I'm talking about, the WBO champion. Maybe he fights him, but that's a nothing fight for Tank. It really is, isn't it? Why wouldn't you fight one of those guys for a massive fight, big payday? But he's from that mold. You just don't know what they're going to do next. Someone like Tank Davis. So Tank will just fight another hand-picked PBC bum. It's what he does. Yep, it's a good way to look at it, Glenn. Andy, Garside just highlights any publicity is good publicity. He medalled last time, but painted nails. What's that? Bail at DV accusation lifted him so high that media didn't bother about who medalled this games. Yeah, well, as I said, Andy, it's just too easy for the media just to say, oh, there's our man Harry. Look at that emotional Harry. And I know the breakdown after the fight sort of happened. It's not Harry's fault that the media are after him. I know he probably does like the media attention, but it's not his fault that they walked straight past Caitlin Parker and Charlie Sr. and went to him. But again, he just ticks the boxes of a nice, easy, good news story. Is Harry Garside. He's just the humble, entertaining, enlightened soul that is Harry Garside, and the media just lap it up. So the DV accusation, I think, were thrown out, Andy. I won't comment on that, but he just fits the bill for what they're after. Triple G hits Crawford in the chin or dome, and it's over. Yeah, well, he's got to get hold of him the first, though, Batman. I think Crawford, from what I saw against Canelo, Batman, I mean, Triple G, it was like he was in slow motion. It was like he was underwater. He needs to be a little bit more aggressive and busy if he's got any chance against Crawford, even at that weight. Because you got to remember, too, is that Triple G's style probably suits Crawford a lot better than what Madrimov's style did. Madrimov is that awkward amateur type of style, the probing with the lead hand and bouncing on the toes. Triple G just walks at you and just throws punches. So I think he'd be better suited, but he would also be a lot bigger and stronger than Crawford. So you just have to, I suppose you have to give him a chance, but I just think for Terence Crawford, again, the boxers out there, they do get ticked by with Triple G because he walked forward. He's a name and the ideal opponent to get Canelo's and the boxing world's attention. So, as I said, not as crazy as it seems. Asbot, big Crawford fan, but I don't see him getting up on Canelo. Canelo is too big, too strong. I can see it being boring. Okay, yeah. Mason looked very sharp again, but agreed time for a step up. That's Abdullah Mason, yep. Big J, have you watched the Costello versus Watt fight again? Shades of Mundane Green 2, first round controversy. I think the ref has a case to answer. Fainted the break and caused a bad KO. Yeah, I did comment as well, Big J, yesterday morning, I think it was, on Walking Boxing. And if you didn't see it, what actually happened is that it was only the first round. I don't think it had only been a minute and a half or whatever it had been. And what happened is that Nicola Costello pushed Sarah Watt backwards. Now, she stumbled backwards, off balance. The referee's actually gone in to say, to probably stop proceedings and warn Nicola Costello for pushing, which he should have done, by the way. It was a fair old shove. But in the meantime, Nicola Costello has sort of got out in the open and just backed it towards her open. Hasn't Sarah Watt sort of going backwards, still off balance. Hand sort of down a fair bit, chin up in the air. Costello's just landed a massive big right hand and just knocked her out. So I'm with you, Big J. I think the referee, again, I said on my video that the referee should have had a case to answer. I don't know how it works in the pros. I'm not sure, but from my account, it should have been the referee should have got straight in there, stopped it, and just said, stop pushing. Sometimes they can say, as they're fighting, the referee can just yell out, stop holding, stop pushing, let go, punch out of it, can give instructions without actually injecting himself into proceedings. But that one there was a big enough push. He should have said, stop pushing, or don't push, and then we box on. But he went to do it. And as I said, in the meantime, Nicola Costello is punched out and just gone bang and knocked Sarah Watt out. Now, what do you do, though, Big J? The referee's probably just in the corner twiddling his thumbs and thinking, we might just let that one go. But he should have been reprimanded or please explain or something about why. And look, lots of those things probably happen in fights where you should have said stop or you should have warned, whatever. But in that instance, you had a defenseless fighter stumbling backwards, very, very vulnerable, and has been knocked out by one punch when the opponent should have received a warning. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Let's see if anything comes of it. Luckily, though, Big J, Sarah Watt was okay. Might have been a different story if she had been hurt bad. I know getting knocked out is still getting hurt, but I think she was okay afterwards. But, yeah, definitely I think a please explain should be warranted there, mate. Luke, you'll be there. Is that for Tim Tszyu? That's awesome, mate. That's great. Good stuff. The Premier Boxing Series has been booming this year. Ace, Team Alice, the Amateurs, Dragonfire, and Green Machine. Almost all the smaller promotions have jumped on board to save a few. I think it's great too, Kyle. And as always, you would expect nothing less from Ace Boxing on Saturday night. The main event was just okay. I think it was a really good fight for Floyd Masson. Perfect opponent for him to get back in the swing of things. I really liked the co-main. Sorry, not the co-main. That was the girls. The one before that with the two cruiserweights, Baker and is it Duscombe? I think his name was. What his name? Yeah, that was a really, really good fight. But you're right. Team Alice put on a really good show. The Amateurs, of course, on Saturday night. And then, yeah, Dragonfire and Green Machine have the September 7 show in Perth. Can't wait for that one. I'm spewing going to miss it. I'll be overseas. But it's great to see that, Dragonfire and Green Machine. That's Alex Winwood we're talking about when he fights for that, I think it's WBA, is it? World minimum weight title. So all the best to Alex Winwood. He's a great young guy, and let's hope he beats the record of Jeff Fenech. I know it's an interesting one. They're talking about being the quickest to win a world title. So I think Angelo Hyder, who was part of Team Fenech for a long time, probably put it in perspective. He said, look, fight-wise, yes, he'll beat him, but Jeff did it in 6 months. And I think Alex has been a pro for, 2-3 years, whatever it might be. So technically Jeff Fenech would be the quickest there as far as time. Alex Winwood would be the quickest as far as fights goes. But either way, who cares? We might have another world champion, which I think is awesome. Double G, you need to learn your history. The last time the Russians dealt with Middle Eastern people, the Russians got their ass handed to. Okay, this is about Putin and Turkey. Al-Sheikh. I'll let you guys sort that out. Haney has fallen a long way, says you and you. Got no respect for him now. Maybe Garcia knocked his marbles loose. I just don't get it, mate. I don't understand why you'll put yourself in that position. I just don't understand it, especially after the gun incident last year and especially doing the whole morals type of battle with Ryan Garcia. I know Ryan Garcia's obviously had his issues as well, but for Devin Haney, it's a long bow to draw that you're having a crack at Ryan Garcia and you're punching a carnival worker. Come on, it's just ridiculous. So let's hope he gets a nice wake up call, and his dad gives him a bit of a slap and says, "Wake up to yourself." All right, Paul Michael Craig. put these Aussie Kiwi cruisers in order. Mason, Medini, is it Medine or Medini? Medini, Nyika, Waitley. Good call, Paul. All right, I would have Nyika at number 1. I would have Mason at number 2, Medini at 3, Waitley at 4. And I did say again the other day, I would love to see, well, I know Floyd Mason, this talkie, will fight Jason Waitley, which I think is a really, really good fight. But I just think Floyd Mason could be a smoky to fight Jai Patai. I think it'd be a great fight. I know Jai Patai probably wins. Don't worry. Don't come at me that, what the hell are you talking about? Oh, Patai, it's easy work. Well, is it really easy work? Jai's been great, but Mason, he goes okay. I think Jai wins. Don't get me wrong. But I think if they're looking for that homecoming fight for Jai, the ideal opponent, without spending a fortune with overseas opponent, why not give Floyd Mason a crack? I think at least he comes and brings in a big following here. He is well supported, and more importantly, he will come to fight and win. That's what we want. And I think we talk about those boxes. We've talked about him a lot tonight getting ticked. Well, I think Floyd Mason ticks the boxes for a Jai Patai fight. Damien says Benavides versus Morrell, please. Well, that seems to be the fight down the track, doesn't it? I think that is the next big fight at light heavyweight, Damien, after Better Beef and Bivol get their business done. I think, though, first we might have, or maybe we don't. I was just going to say, I've got a feeling that if Better Beef wins, I reckon there could be a rematch with Bivol. If Bivol wins, I think that Better Beef might retire. And then I think Bivol targets both these guys. I think Benavides first, and then he would look at Morrell after that. But either way, again, great matchups. Would you do a deep dive tour next September if it's Canelo Benavides? Yes, Damien, 100%. So it's a long way off, though. It's over a year. But yes, if it's Canelo and Benavides next year, or even in May, if it's Canelo Benavides, Canelo Crawford, Canelo, probably anyone, the odds are I'm going to do a tour in May. So keep that under your hat now and start saving. You need $5,000 to $6,000 plus spending money, guys, and that includes flights, accommodation, and your flight ticket. Fight ticket. So your flight from the East Coast, a week's accommodation, and a flight ticket. So not ringside or anything like that, just an average ticket, but you know where I'm getting at. All right. Did you love Jeff Fenech as a fighter? The Great Tapestry says yes. He was and still is my favourite Aussie fighter of all time, mate. A massive Jeff Fenech fan. I grew up with Jeff. I was 11 or 12 when he won his world title, and I absolutely worshipped Jeff Fenech, mate. He was like a god to me growing up, and I was very, very privileged to have dealt with Jeff over the journey in the last few years. It's been a dream come true for me to promote Brock Jarvis, and also just to get to know Jeff. It was great. I remember even when Brock fought in Bendigo on the Horns Arafa card, I picked up Jeff and Brock at the airport, and I was a little bit overwhelmed, if I'm being honest. I'd met Jeff. Brock fought on one of my shows a couple of years before. So I went to the hotel where Brock was training, got to know Jeff okay, but it was, there's a lot going on and with the promotion, and you're so busy. Didn't really have a chance to really get to know him apart from, him just being part of the show. But I picked Jeff and Brock up from the airport, and I drove them to Bendigo, which was about an hour and a half drive. And to have an hour and a half in the car just with the three of us, really was a dream come true. I know I sound like a fanboy here, but I don't care. Jeff Fenech to me was just an absolute god growing up, and to have that opportunity to sit in the car with him for an hour and a half and just talk boxing and his career. We've had him on here a couple of times. We had him on for the Zuma Nelson fight, the first one where it was the draw. We had him on to watch the fight with us and give his opinions and his feedback. We did all that. And I had lunch with him, dinner with him. Just a great guy, and can't speak. And it's one of those things where they normally say, never meet your heroes. I can honestly say, I know Jeff probably rubs people up different ways. For me, nothing but a gentleman to me, and quite privileged to, as I said, get to know Jeff. And for me, the greatest fighter in Australian boxing history. Just my opinion. But, yes, I did love it. I think I answered that question, mate. I did love him as a fighter. All right. There's Jai. How you going there, mate? What do we got there? Sawyer, walking, boxing, UFC. What do you think boxing events could implement/learn from the UFC? Thanks, Jai. It's just throw it. Oh, Jay, just throw it at me there, mate. What could boxing events learn from the UFC? It's a good. Well, firstly, the quality of the fights on the cards. They have a card top to bottom, which I think is great. But I did say in the video, I just like the way they milk every single thing out of it that they can. You know, this is the TV telecast. But as far as the events themselves, it's a good question. Depends on what event you're talking about, though, mate. Like, if I go to I went to the and obviously a lot of you guys out there watched as well, the Kambosos-Lomachenko fight in Perth at the same arena as the UFC. I would argue that a big fight like that was just as good as what the UFC was yesterday. But one thing you can't probably do is it's just the type of crowds that you get. The UFC, I've got to admit, are a lot more passionate than boxing fans. I think boxing fans appreciate the artistry, the skill level, all that sort of stuff. Whereas UFC, they just want blood and guts. They just want two guys in there punching the shit out of each other, and that's all they're after. But as far as the events go themselves, mate, I just think, I think we're doing okay. I think boxing events are doing okay. We just do it a little bit differently. But apart from a regular thing of the best fight and the best show after show after show, that's probably the only thing I would probably change. And we're sort of getting to that to a certain extent with Turki Al-Sheikh at the moment. Not just him. I've got a feeling the other promoters now realise, even PBC, I even looked back at their card, the Tszyu card back in March, 30th of March. Looking back at it, you had Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora. This is the PBC Amazon card I'm talking about. But Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora. We had Isaac Cruz, Roller Ramiro. We had Arizona Lara, Michael Zarafa. We had what was the other world title fight? We had the little fellas. I can't remember. We also had Sergey Boachuk and Brian Mendoza. When you look at that, is a solid card. Just as good, I think, than anything that Turki Al-Sheikh has put out, bar some of the big heavyweight fights he's done. So I think that's better than the Crawford card we just witnessed a couple of weeks ago. So I think the other promoters have now stepped up to sort of go with Turki Al-Sheikh to some extent. So, mate, no, there's nothing glaringly that stands out to me, if I'm going to answer your question honestly. I just want to see the regular fighters. One thing I don't want to see really, Jai, is I don't want to see the car giveaways. I don't want to see the red carpet. I don't want to see an hour in between fights. I don't want to see Hall of Fame inductions. I don't want to see belts being presented. I want a fight, then I want a 15-minute break, and then I want another fight. That's what I want. So please don't go down that track, boxing, where you're trying to, I don't know, what are you trying to be? A Hollywood production. I don't get it. But, that's the same comment there. Triple G is still no joke, says Andy. I didn't see Bud versus Canelo at 168 as realistic, let alone Triple G at 160. Triple G's bigger, stronger, durable, non-hesitant version of Madrimov, albeit older. Crazy. Yep, it's good. I don't mind that that there, Andy. Yeah, look, I think they would love Triple G again because he's more custom made for Terence Crawford, but he's also a massive name. And we know the history he's had with Canelo. So I understand from all angles why they would want it. But you're right. Very, very risky fight for Terence Crawford because who knows? Triple G might just have a big one left in him. I think, Jai, that's the same there. Yeah, I think I've answered that one. All right, Damien, how do you let the turkey know what fights do you want? I want to hand him to try and get this Drago movie made. He just put it on social media the other day, Damien. He just said he wanted everyone to name the 10 fights that he should make in the remainder of 2024 and 2025. So I just did my walking boxing the other day and just had my say. I think quickly I had Fury Joshua. I had Opataya Billum Smith. I had Bivol, or the winner of Bivol Beterbiev. I did say it was going to be Bivol in my opinion, but let's just say Bivol wins. Bivol and Benavides. I had Virgil Ortiz and Madrimov. I had Crawford and Tszyu. I had Liam Paro, Devin Haney. I had Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia. I had Shakur Stevenson and Lomachenko. I had Tank Davis and Zapata. And I had Naoya Inoue and Junto Nakatani. They were the 10 if I can quickly rattle those off. They were the 10 fights I would love to see in 24-25. Let's see. The UFC's pace is 100 times better. 3 hours on pay-per-view is done, not these 6 to 7 hour events. 100% agree, Damien. When it started, I was like, geez, it's Sunday. It's a nice day. I've got a little bit to do. How long is this going to take? I've been probably conditioned to the boxing events of recent times, but I looked at the card. I know they had prelims and all that on before, but that's optional. There's no. Well, there's nothing that says you've got to watch those events. I think they had the early prelims, and then they had the prelims, and then they had the main card. And there was only 5 fights on the main card, and I think that is perfect. So I would love to see that, Dave. And I think, apart from the Turki Al-Sheikh events of recent times, the pay-per-views were only 3 hours. You would have, they would start at 6 o'clock. This is in US time. I'm probably 11 o'clock here in the morning, whatever it might be on the Sunday. But starting at 6 o'clock, that's when the card would start. And then by 8, maybe 8:30, you would have the main event hit the ring, and that is perfect. Because let's face it, most people that get a pay-per-view, like in boxing, I know we're sort of changing as far as what we want. We want the Turki Al-Sheikh's mega cards and all that sort of stuff, but I must admit, I just like the 3-hour pay-per-view, have maybe 4 fights on the card, if they're all sort of 10 and 12 rounders, have maybe have a prospect fighting a 10-rounder, and then have 2 title fights, and then the main event, which is obviously another title fight. So maybe 3, maybe worst case 2 title fights. Could have 2 10, or maybe an 8, a 10, and then 2 12 rounds. I think that is perfect, I think, for a night or afternoon of watching boxing. So I don't know about you guys. I don't need the 8-hour boxing fest. Maybe I'm getting a little bit past it, a little bit old, but I look, and let's face it as well, when people get these big pay-per-view cards, on UFC is probably a little bit different because UFC fans like to buy the card. Boxing purists, when you think about it, they really just want the main event and maybe a good co-main, and they're satisfied. They don't really care about what happens underneath that, and that's probably what I'm getting back to for Turki Al-Sheikh, just not quite understanding the boxing scene. I fully applaud what he's doing, but maybe he's probably gone a little bit overkill, trying to just overdose us on these massive cards. And look, if you've got 8 fights on a card, well, that's okay, but start them early and have just one after the other, not all this stuff in between. But I'm with you there, Damien, on your comment there. Has anything been put out about Sam Goodman? I'm curious to see if Inoue is still the target next if he beats Donia. Well, I know from Sam Goodman's point of view, he is on the agenda for Sam, Tommy. I know he's had the hand injury, but I got a feeling it wasn't a bad, was it broken? I can't even remember whether it was, but if it was broken, it was not a bad break, I think, or it wasn't as bad as what we all thought anyway. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So according to Sam, he still wants that December date. So we'll see. So when is the Inoue fight's September the 3rd. So apparently Inoue wants to fight again in December, and that makes sense to fight Sam Goodman. I'd still be surprised if the fight with Sam Goodman does go ahead in December, even though Inoue has probably said he'd like to fight then. 3 months is a really short turnaround for fighters at this level. So I'm thinking maybe early next year might be more on the cards. But from Sam Goodman, Tommy, apparently it's all steam ahead, or full steam ahead. All right, Tommy, I'm surprised the guy that Devin Haney punched, hit the chest, didn't fall over screaming bloody murder to get a nice payday. I've got a feeling, Tommy, if maybe he didn't even know it was Devin Haney, but maybe if he knew he was on camera, maybe it would have been a little bit different. If you look at the footage, it's grainy footage. Someone from a fair bit away with the iPhone or whatever has filmed it. But maybe all of a sudden the neck's starting to hurt a little bit there, Tommy, and I'm having a little bit of trouble moving my neck, and maybe I need to get the neck brace on and claim some compensation from Devin Haney. You can just see it coming, can't you? Haney doesn't punch hard enough. Well, it wasn't even really a punch, Glenn. It was pretty pathetic, really, when you think about it. It was just, he tried to punch, but I don't know. It's just, you know what it reminded me of a little bit, Glenn? Have you ever seen the Wedding Singer and with Adam Sandler, and they're out the front of the bar and they're all a bit drunk, and the boyfriend of the girl he's trying to get, Drew Barrymore's fiance, rocks up, and the old man tries to come in and save the day and punch the guy, and he just sort of hits him and just taps him on there, and the other guy just sort of pretty much laughs at him. That's sort of what it reminded me of. All right, Damien, the Premier Boxing Series, the best boxing in Australia, number one, hands down, no close second. Yep, says the number one ticket holder for No Limit, Damien. No, look, but all jokes aside, it has been great. I haven't really seen any. It's probably been the odd fight here or there, but the shows themselves have all been first class, if you ask me. What have they done, 6 or 7 or something now? It might even be more. But a great concept, and all the promoters that have done it so far have really done it in a really, really good light. And let's hope. Well, the next one is it Dan Hill and Lewis Chadwick? That'll be a ripper card as well. And then September 7th, which is or is it the one after? Is it Alex? Excuse me. Is Alex Winwood first? Whatever it is, but there's 2 coming up. Dan Hill, Lewis Chadwick, which will be a ripper main event, and then the Alex Winwood fight as well, which obviously will be a world title fight, will be massive as well. All right, Andy, how about BoxRec no longer acknowledging the WBA? Okay, I didn't know that. After they merged with now Turkey-owned platform Fight Facts, they have the champ Canelo ranked 38th in the world. I didn't know that, Andy. Turkey tried to buy BoxRec first, but couldn't. Wow, now I'm going to have to get on and have a bit of a look at that and see what's happened. I didn't know that. Look, mate, I don't trust BoxRec at all. All their ratings are all over the place. Just look at the Aussie pound for pound ratings if you want any proof. I think was it Tim Tszyu down the list, like 4 or 5 or 6 or something, and who was it? Might have been Sam Goodman in front of Tim Tszyu. I know Sam's done pretty good, but in front of Tim Tszyu, yeah, come on. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves there, but yeah, and I think there's some others in there as well. It didn't make much sense either. But no, I don't really rate BoxRec, and I don't rank them at all now. Even more, Andy, if they've got Canelo ranked at 38th in the world. And the Ika fight coming up on DAZN being a pay-per-view is a pisser. Now, that is the Blake Caparello fight, isn't it, Damien? That'll be a good fight. Good test for Nika. Blake Caparello, he's always been a bit of a boogeyman, Blake Caparello. Always gets the job done. He was upset by Faris Chevalier, a couple of years ago, or might have been longer, 3 or 4 years ago, but he's come back well, and he'll be a really good test for Nika, mate. So looking forward to that one. All right, so still on the BoxRec. Apparently, the WBA in Fight Facts was scraping data from BoxRec and was caught stealing info and intellectual property. BoxRec remains unbiased regardless of some disagreeing with the rating style. Yeah, well, I'm not questioning them being unbiased. I just don't rate their algorithms, Andy. I just think it's all over the place. That's my problem with BoxRec. But I don't really look at BoxRec ratings anyway. When I get on there, I'm looking at records and schedules. That's what I'm after. I couldn't give a toss about the rankings. Let's face it, whether it's BoxRec rankings or the WBA, WBC, IBF, or WBO, or whatever the hell, a ring actually is probably different. They're probably more creditable and more realistic. But all the others, mate, all the rankings are all over the shop. And I'll say it again. How can you have someone ranked number 1 with the WBC and not ranked in the top 15 of, say, the WBO? Doesn't make sense. So I don't rank or rate any of them, mate. But that's that's pretty amazing if that's what they were doing. All right, Benavides morale on the undercard of the Beterbiev Bivol would be incredible. Certainly would, Damien. Keep a lookout for that. Don't be surprised if our man or men, Jai Opataya and Justice Winnie, land on that Beterbiev and Bivol undercard, especially Jai. So let's just keep an eye out for that. So Jai and Justice could be on the undercard of Beterbiev and Bivol. Keep a lookout for the announcements. Just a guess, though. But all right. I'll be doing, what's that? Okay. Oh, this is for the trip. I'll be doing business class for the flight after the trip to Turkey. Seriously, I can't do that economy again. Well, if you want to go business class, you can get some okay fares out there if you've got the money. I think normally a flight to, say, LA return, depend if Qantas does a sale, you can probably get them for about $7,500. That's a fair bit of money. If you can get it, maybe some of the other less flights like Singapore, like Philippines or the Thai Airways, one of those, you might get it even $6,500. So if you've got that money to spend, go for it. My suggestion, if I'm going to put one out there for you, Damien, if it's Qantas, whatever, go premium economy. Nothing wrong with that. You might pay $3,500 or maybe between $3,500 and $4,000. but the configuration is still really, really good. So in economy, you'll have, 3-4-3, whereas in premium economy goes 2-3-2. You've got more reclining width. The seats are a little bit wider, a little bit more foot room as well. So that would be to anyone out there, my suggestion to you. Don't worry too much about business class. If you've got the money, hey, that's great. Go down and get the lie flat bed, all that sort of stuff. But if you're looking for the next best thing, I really recommend premium economy, 3.5, 4K, compared to, you might be looking at 2.5 or 2 to 2.5 for economy. So you might be paying nearly twice as much sometimes. Depends on if they're on sale or whatever. But if you can afford it and you want to step up, definitely recommend premium economy for sure. Who's Paulie Fennick there, Damien? I don't know who that is. Let me know. Why didn't Jeff Fennick ever unify? Good question, Paul. See, back in the day, though, the only thing I'll say to that, back in the day, unification wasn't a massive thing. And you got to remember, it was a WBA, WBC, and IBF. So he had the IBF bantamweight title and WBC super bantam, WBC feather, and should have had the WBC super feather. But, as I said, it wasn't really spoken about that often, if I'm being honest. You didn't see a lot of... You did see them, but it wasn't... It's almost like these days, if you win a world title, it's immediately, all right, or you're going to unify with such and such. That just seems to be the throwaway line. And but back then, it just wasn't. You had 3 happy champions that continued just to defend the belts. And yes, you still did see unification fights, but it was nowhere near as common as it is these days. And not as encouraged as it is today. As I said, 3 champions would happily just go about the business, defend it, and that's just the way it was. So I'm not quite sure why Jeff never did, because he was always... Look, one thing I'll say about Jeff is that he always fought the top challengers to his title. I remember when he won the IBF this is not the Jeff Fennick hour, by the way, but when he won the IBF bantamweight title, look, I will say that Satoshi Shingaki, let's just say he wasn't Tank Davis. Just let me put that out there. But what he did, he fought Daniel Zaragoza in a non-title fight, if you will. Now, Daniel Zaragoza is one of the greatest Mexican fighters of all time. I think he was 2 or 3-time world champion. Fought him in a non-title fight in Perth, I remember, of all places. Then he beat Jerome Coffey, number 1 challenger. He beat the Olympic gold medalist in Stephen McCrory. Then he went up and beat Samart Payakaroon, who just beat Lupi Pintor for the title, who's another legend. Defended those titles. There was a Georgie Navarro, Tyrone Downs. There was then he at featherweight. There was Marcos Villasana. What was his name? Mario Martinez. These are all top line challenges. These aren't just let's dig up whoever we can and get these easy defenses under our belt. So that's why I rate Jeff Fennick so highly and above maybe some of the other champions we've had. I just think his resume is so much better than what they were, and he just never hesitated. And then went up to super feather. Could have easily maybe fought one of the lesser light champions at the time, but no, he went for Azuma Nelson, one of the most feared fighters in boxing at the time, and history shows he got a draw, but we all know that he won that fight. So, all right, Andy, light heavyweight undisputed rematch shouldn't happen if undeniable win for one or the other. Too many unnecessary rematches stagnate lines, in my opinion. Yeah, it's not a bad call, Andy. This is about Beterbiev and Bivol. Yeah, no, look, you're right, but I've just got a feeling that both of those guys are pretty high up on the love list of Turki Al-Sheikh. He likes them both. I wouldn't be surprised if depending on the circumstances, if it's one-sided, then maybe not. I got a feeling if it's semi-close-ish, that Turki Al-Sheikh will want to do another fight with those guys. Unless, of course, there's a David Benavides or a David Morrell or one of those types of guys that maybe want to take the fight. Thanks, Batman. Yep, I did get the experience. That's with Jeff. Yeah, it was awesome, mate. What's that? Garden Snake Mentality. Love the name there, mate. Thanks for joining in the show. What's that? Fans love fighters being lowlifes. Tyson out of prison for rape did 1.5 million pay-per-views. Yep, against McNeely. Who can forget that fight? Peter McNeely. What a character he was. Floyd went to jail. Yep. Still the face of boxing. We love crazy. Yep. No, you're right, mate. I can't argue with that. Tommy B, how you going there, mate? Evening. On Jai's question, one thing the UFC did that boxing doesn't was hold the judge into account by removing the judge with a dodgy scorecard for the co-main fight. Is that right, Tommy? I wasn't aware of that. Hey, well, if that is the case, then bring it on. That I wasn't aware of that. Okay, so the officials at ringside weren't happy with the judging and removed him from the main event. Well, if that is the case, then I'll give them the golf clap. That is taking accountability for your promotion, your event, your organisation. It goes to show that they have some integrity in the UFC. You would never see that in boxing, though, I don't think, Tommy, but maybe we should. All right. Still remember Jeff Fennick's first world title win where he was celebrating with his mate Con at the hotel in Marrickville. Awesome times. Yeah, if you remember that, he had his good mate Con up on the bar and he had the bottle of champagne and he pretty much sprayed the whole lot in Con's face, and he loves Con, Double G. He when he was actually in the car with us driving, or with me driving to Bendigo, Con wouldn't have rang. Jeff rang Con just to check in and hang a bit of shit on him, and you could hear he had it on speakerphone, and Con was giving as good as he was getting, and it was pretty cool. And again, to think of those times and to be sitting in the car with Jeff and he's talking to Con on the phone, and they were having a bit of a laugh together and hanging shit on each other, and Con gave as good as he got, I can tell you. Real character. Might have been, I'm not sure it was his birthday, so I can't remember what it was, but Jeff just decided to give him a call and get stuck into him. It was great. All right, Andy, saw some Western Australian crowd booing some of that ground grappling in the UFC. Just shows they prefer striking, so likely boxing might still be king there too. Yeah, again, Andy, I said this morning that I have full respect for the fighters. They really, truly are warriors, don't get me wrong, but as soon as they hit the ground, I'm sitting there like, are they going to do something? You know, was that the meme when they've got the stick saying do something? And again, I understand it's part of the tactics and all that sort of stuff, but I've got my boxing hat on here. I'm like, guys, we do something. We're going to sit here for 3 minutes while one fighter just hangs on to the other one and jumps on his back and won't let go. Again, I understand that's UFC and that's what they do. But, mate, all I'll say is, Andy, is that just give me boxing any time. Any day of the week, give me boxing. All right, Damien. Goodman will get starched in 2 rounds. Looks like you haven't had your Snickers today, Damien. Still time. What is it? About 10 past 8? Time for a couple before bed, mate. This is Sam Goodman about... no, he went away, by the way. Look, hard to argue with that, Damien. I would hope he goes a little bit better than that, but I'm on the opinion, probably like you, that it's going to be a tall order for Sam Goodman to beat Nairo Inoue, but at least he's willing to get in there and put it all on the line and try and take the belts, and you've got to give him credit for that. So, good on him. Any news on Liam Paro? Haven't seen him since he won the title. No, good call, Kyle. Haven't really seen much of him. I would think... I actually spoke to Angelo DiCarlo, it was a couple of weeks ago, and I did ask him about Liam, and he said they're kicking rocks over at the moment. There's some opponents out there they're looking at, but as far as I know, nothing concrete just yet. But make no mistake that they are after the best fights possible they can get for Liam. Just on Angelo DiCarlo too, guys, he is being inducted into the Hall of Fame on the 31st of August. So congratulations to Angelo DiCarlo. He's put a lot of time, effort, and money into Queensland boxing and Australian boxing for a long, long time. So all the best to Angelo on the 31st of August. Danny Green also getting inducted that night as well. So congratulations to all concerned. And actually on Danny, have you seen him lately? He looks in better condition than when he was fighting. I think actually looks lighter and leaner. I don't know what the hell you're doing, Danny, but can you let us all in on your secret, mate? I like the fact too, he's let the hair grow a little bit. He's a little bit like me. He's got a little bit of the silver fox happening. But geez, he looks in good nick at the moment. I know he does a lot of surfing and obviously he does some training as well. But for a 50-year-old, he's in very, very good nick, is Danny Green. Damien, in a way, could do the fight a week after September 3rd. Well, yeah. I had a quick chat with Mike Altamura a couple of weeks ago as well, and he manages TJ Doan here. And yeah, look, I was trying to be nice as far as, it's great that you got the shot and everything else. But he did say, hey, look, we've won 3 fights on the trot in Japan against 3 okay opponents. And when you think about who else has probably done more apart from Sam Goodman. So, and you can't blame the guy for taking the fight. It's a world title fight. I mean, a year and a half ago, whatever it was, he was done. Sam Goodman beat him. But I just give full credit to TJ Doney for one, working his way back up, but two, jumping in the ring with Sam Good, Nail Winaway. So, but you're right. I'm with you there, Damien. My heart goes out to TJ Doney. I think he does. I hope he does really, really well. But if I'm being honest, I don't think that ends well for him. Apologies to Mike if you are watching, mate. All the best. I'm sure you'll get over to Japan. I would love to get there and check it out over there as well. But all the best to you, mate. And one of the best managers in the business, Mike Altamura. I'm not usually not big on people getting sued, but I hope Haney gets taken to the cleaners. I would say I can't sleep. I've got mad anxiety and having foggy vision. I'm with you there, Damien. As I said, that neck's starting to hurt. I'm starting to have, PSD or whatever it is, when they start having nightmares and all that sort of stuff, of that lightning quick, hard punch slamming into my jaw. I can't sleep and I'm heavily traumatized by the moment, and I'll never be able to work the merry-go-round ever again, or the Ferris wheel ever again. So I need $2 million as compensation. We're all a cynical bunch, aren't we? All right, Jack. How does a world champion in Haney throw a punch so crap, yet these bozos who can't fight for shit end up killing people with one punch? Spins me out. Well, if you look at that footage, though, Jack, I don't even know what he was doing. It's not like he didn't put any gusto into it. It was almost almost a semi-push. But again, it comes back to, Devin, what are you doing? Are you stupid, mate? Don't put yourself in that position. Why are you even there? If there's a little bit of a disagreement, walk away. Let your homeboys sort it out. But to actually be the one that throws sort of punch, I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And I'm sure his dad and powers that be have sat him down and said, Devin, please, mate, please don't be Ryan Garcia, please. Haney dropped his right hand when he threw that punch. Good call, James. He did. Technique was shocking. He was flat-footed. Wasn't even side on. He just sort of poked it out, and it was a pathetic punch from a 2-division world champion, James. All right. Tommy, Boots and Curran rematch has been ordered by IBF. Is it Curran? Is that how it's pronounced? I think it is. I really hope we don't get that crap. Well, you and Boots Ennis, Tommy. Boots Ennis wasn't very happy about it either, was he? He said, look, it's not ideal, but that's my man. It's what I've got to do. I just don't know how Curran would be in a position to actually get a rematch. It must be so barren in the 147-pound division, Tommy, that someone that was beaten in what wasn't a great fight at all could be reordered to get another shot. So normally you've got to work your way out for 2-3 years or whatever it is to get in that position. And I've seen fighters in the past that have actually done that, have actually been beaten by a champion and worked their way back and got another shot. That's okay. But what's this guy done to warrant a rematch? Nothing. But in this day and age of just ridiculous sanctioning bodies, all of a sudden he reappears at number one by the IBF. It just doesn't make sense. Authorised Seller Australia. G'day, mate. You have a good evening too. Appreciate you watching the videos and commenting too, mate. The walking boxing episodes. Zhang Bakoli on the co-main of Better Be versus Bivol would also be fireworks. Yeah, well, I would expect that Zhang will be on that event, Batman. I'm not sure whether you know the card, but I think Zhang will be on there no matter what. It could be I was just going to say it might be a quick turnaround for Bakoli, but it's still a couple of months away, so maybe. But I'm with there, mate. That would be a ripper fight. It would be a great fight. I think he's going to cause some issues, Bakoli. I mean, that was such a great performance on the Crawford undercard that he's going to have some doors open for him. But he's a big guy who can fight. So he's one of my new favourite heavyweights, Batman, is Bakoli. And just a great attitude as well. That's what I liked about him. And even Big Baby Miller too. I've never really been a fan of his, but I was really impressed with him after that fight as well, after the Ruiz fight. Yes, hit the like, lads. Please, it helps our mate beat the Matrix. Yes. Like, share, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. All right, Andy, if rumours of Devin Haney returning rings true, hope it's a unification Surely Devin realised he isn't a front foot KO artist and returns to boxing from outside. Not most appealing, but works for him. Yeah, I think the Ryan Garcia fight really would have given him a wake-up call, Andy. And make no mistake, doesn't matter what I think of him outside the ring, inside the ring. I mean, he's a very, very good fighter. But, who does he fight? Does he fight Liam Paro? You wouldn't have thought. Who else is there? I mean, I don't think Teofimo Lopez... Well, could happen. Maybe it could happen. But, there's some good fights out there still for Devin Haney. But I'm with you there, mate. He isn't a front foot KO artist. He got sucked in by Garcia, paid the price. Let's hope he returns to the fights that got him those wins over George and Prograis amongst others. Is that right, Kyle? Apparently they want Zhang and Bacoli in China. Well, Bacoli's the sort of guy that would go to China, isn't he? And I get it why they would want Zhang to go to China. I mean, a massive name over there. What is there? Is there a couple of billion people or something in China? I don't know, something like that. A lot of eyes on the event. Massive live gate, massive pay-per-view, all the rest of it. Are they allowed to have pay-per-view in China? I'm assuming they do. I don't know anything about China. But, would be a big fight over there. And as I said, I don't think Bacoli would have an issue going there at all, Kyle. Yep, Damien, look into premium economy. You won't regret it, mate. I'm sure if you're looking at Qantas, look at the website and they have a bit of an overview of all the classes. So it's really good. There's a ton of talks that Bivol Beterbiev will be Matchroom versus Queensbury 5x5 round 2. Might be better for Jai that he can fight CBS in December. Yeah, might be. I haven't seen that myself, Cole, but I know you're across all that sort of stuff. But we'll wait and see. What is it? October the 12th, isn't it? So a couple of months away. So you would think they would have to make the announcements very, very soon of what's happening with that card. And really, on the whole card itself, it's not even on BoxRec, Bivol versus Beterbiev. So not even just the main event. So are we maybe reading into it that all is not signed, sealed, and delivered? Because there hasn't really been any build-up to it at all, really, since it was cancelled the first time. So let's see what happens with 8 weeks to go. All right, just tuning in. Sam, how are you, mate? If you haven't covered it already, Big J on T Street controversy asking Turkey, splashing money around for $1 million to fight his deep typho. Is it Jai? I think that's him, Sam. Look, I must admit, I still haven't got around to watching the T Street controversy, but I do talk to Big J, and Big J's also got his own YouTube page now. I'm not quite sure what it's called. Big J, let us know. Is it Aussie Talk or something? So... But I'll have to get on there and check out the T Street controversy. But now you've said that, I'll definitely check out that episode. G'day, Bill. How you going, mate? If Jeff Fennick wasn't your hero in the 80s, you wasn't Australian. When Jeff got knocked out by Nelson in the second fight, I was at a pub in tears, but always forever my hero. And, yep, I'm a fanboy, yeah. Yeah, you're right, Bill. And look, to put into context with Jeff, and remember he was a bantamweight up to featherweight fighter. So traditionally not the type of fighter that Australia would really get behind. You see that even these days with the Maloney boys and everything else. I mean, Jeff Fennick just come around at the right time. We needed a hero. We had just had Lester Ellis here in Melbourne and then Jeff Fennick in Sydney. But both guys, Jeff was the guy that Australia embraced. Lester was more the fighter that Victoria embraced, if I'm being honest. Let me know if I'm wrong, but that's sort of the way I saw it. Lester was Victoria's hero. Jeff Fennick was Australia's hero. And in the 80s, this is when you couldn't do pay-per-views at home. You had to go to the pub. Every pub absolutely packed. 15,000 at the stadium to see him fight. There was 30 or 40,000 at Princess Park when he fought Nelson. I was actually at that fight, Bill, in Melbourne. It was a shitty, rainy day. It rained all day. But it was a good card. They had, obviously, that fight. I remember Spike Sheeny fought on the undercard. Costa Tszyu made his pro debut and absolutely demolished Daryl Hiles on the undercard. Virgil Hill fought on the undercard too, I remember. So it was a really, really good card. But not a great day for us Jeff Fennick fans, mate. I remember, I can't remember if I cried or not. I don't think I did, but I was definitely just absolutely shattered. It was not a great day for Aussie boxing. And if I'm being honest, Bill, the one after that was probably worse when Calvin Grove knocked Jeff out cold. And I remember cut his lip with that big right hand. It was not good. And Jeff to this day still has a scar there. But yeah, it wasn't great. I remember he went down and just out cold and the blood streaming from his mouth. It was shocking. But yep, I'm glad you're a fanboy too, Bill, because I certainly am too. Previously, the WBC was by far the most prestigious belt. The Hitman stayed in the WBC as well. Yeah, good call. Yeah, and you're right. The WBC probably to some extent still is, mate. But back then, the WBC belt was the belt. The WBA was sort of like, the yesteryear sort of belt, if I'm being honest, if that makes sense. The IBF was the new belt at the time. Wasn't really sort of known at that stage. WBO was still 3 or 4 years away from coming in, and the WBC belt was the belt. I still remember, if I'm being honest, I remember Lester and Barry and then Jeff all had IBF belts, and I thought that was cool. But I remember when Jeff signed the fight for a WBC belt, I was like, wow, big time, mega time boxing has finally hit Australia. And I remember even seeing Jeff in the ring with the Reyes gloves, because we never saw that here in Australia. In Melbourne, it was always sort of the Jack Rennie gloves or one of those types of gloves. Jeff was at ringside or whatever he had, Ring Pro, whatever it was. But when he got in the ring for the Payakaroon fight with the Reyes gloves on for the WBC belt, I was just like, wow, this is big time. So I know it's commonplace these days, I get that. But as a young kid, to see a WBC belt up for grabs with Jeff wearing Reyes gloves and having... who was the referee? Was it Richard Steele, one of those main referees? I was like, wow, just crazy. Anyway, we'll continue on. Remember Jerome Coffey punching away at sparring, repeating over and over, it's coffee time. Yeah, I do. It's a crazy name, isn't it? Jerome Coffey. I think Double G, if I'm being honest, he was definitely one of those fighters that in the days of manipulating ratings, he was probably the poster boy because he hadn't really fought anyone at that point. Steve McCrory, totally different story. But, Jerome Coffey being the number one challenger and Daniel Zaragoza fighting a non-title fight, just hard to get your head around because Jerome Coffey was flashy, that typical American type of guy. But, I don't think he really pulled off being a number one challenger. 1988, Hitman would have given the two top light heavyweights a good fight for sure. Yeah, you remember 87, he won the WBC light heavyweight title with that unforgettable fight win over Dennis Andrews. Wow. I remember that like it was yesterday. I was jumping around my lounge room just going nuts when he beat Andrews that day. That's just amazing. And I think it's a little bit undersold in the history of Australian boxing. We talk about Lionel Rose and Johnny Famechon, and they were great, and obviously Jeff Fennick and Jimmy Carruthers. But Hitman, for me, if I'm being honest, is the most memorable fight for me growing up as far as memories go. Yes, I just said I love Jeff and I love everything that he was doing, but if I look back at memorable Australian moments, actually probably when Lester beat One Kill You for the IBF 130-pound title would sort of compare. But for Jeff Hitman Harding beating Dennis Andrews in that fight, wow. Blood streaming out of down his face, way behind on points. Last round, had to pull the knockout, and he did it. Just such an underrated moment in Australian boxing, if you ask me. Always wanted to ask your opinion on Fennick Nelson. 3, circus act or nostalgia novelty? Definitely a circus act, Big J. Well, if you ask Azuma Nelson, he thought it was an exhibition fight. I don't know how you could possibly think it's an exhibition fight when, you get flown over and there's judges and belts. And actually, it wasn't a belt, was there? But apparently he thought it was an exhibition fight. But look, it is a bit of a circus act. But at the end of the day, I mean, these guys then, I think, aren't much older than some of the fighters today. What was it? So Jeff he would have been 44. Would have been 44 when this fight happened. And, I mean, fighters, Manny Pacquiao's looking to come back now for real at 45 or 46. Big George at 45, whatever it was. I mean, they were 40, 44, 45 years old. But, yeah, look, I don't sort of see it. It certainly doesn't change my opinion of those first two fights, Big J. I'm glad that Jeff got some sort of redemption. But, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really mean much to me in the annals of boxing history anyway, mate. All right, Tommy. So, yeah, the UFC judge who scored the fight 30-27 in favour of our man Tuivasa was relieved of his duties for the rest of the show. I didn't see the decision, Tommy. Well, I didn't listen to the scorecards. I knew Tuivasa lost. Didn't look himself, did he, Tommy? I think it's almost time for him to hang him up. I mean, he's been an absolute warrior. Every pay-per-view or UFC one I've sort of bought, he seems to be on the card, and he always seems to lose. I know he's got a good history and all the rest of it, but from what I saw yesterday, mate, he just didn't seem interested and really just went through the motions. The guy he fought, I didn't think was that great. But I certainly thought the other guy won. But yeah, if that is the case, he gave 3 rounds to Tuivasa. Well, he probably deserved to be relieved of his duties, Tommy, because I thought the other guy won every round as well. Boxing is Scooby-Doo, UFC is Scrappy-Doo. Yes, that's a good, I like that analogy. Haney was said to be fighting Paro in Australia. Seems to have put a stop to that. Well, I don't know what Haney's doing at the moment, mate. I don't think it'll be Paro next. But I know Angelo wouldn't have told me anyway because he realises I get on here every week and talk boxing. But yeah, I reckon they would love to fight Haney. I just think Haney, I'm not quite sure he's ready to come back yet. I think the Garcia fight really knocked him around more mentally, so I wouldn't be surprised if he sits out for just a little bit longer. We should definitely do tours in Japan. That would be awesome. I'd like to do that, Damien. That'd be great. I've never been to Japan. And I would certainly love to go. So maybe I'd definitely go if I know it was talk that maybe the Maloney's or Jason Maloney might fight in Japan. I'd definitely be there for that. And it's not that expensive to go. I think it's a 10-hour flight. I think you can get an economy airfare for about $1,100. So it's affordable. And apparently it's a great place to go. So yeah, man, put me down for that for sure. Turkey wants Chisora. Why? I don't know. Well, he did have a good win last time out, mate, with against Joyce. But I'm with you. Maybe that should have been a retirement fight for Chisora, but then maybe he's back in the mix as well. I've got a feeling that you will see Chisora on the next big fight. Maybe it's Tyson Fury and Usyk. Maybe they get Chisora on that card against a big baby Miller or Bacoli maybe. Who knows? Or Andy Ruiz. But I'm with you. He does seem to want Chisora, so let's see. I think Chisora deserves another payday after the Joe Joyce fight. Also, I think Joe Joyce needs to be sent away to maybe have a good think about what he's doing in his career because that just wasn't the Joe Joyce that we've come to know over the journey. All right, on TJ Doheny, whether we feel he deserves it or not, can't be denied. Yep, he's done the hard yards by going overseas and winning fight after fight. Which clearly with Mike's management, he's created his own destiny. 100%, Tommy, that's what I said. Yep, I agree. Whether you think he deserves it or not, he did go to Japan. He's had 3 fights against the home fighter, 3 fights in a row, beaten them all conclusively. If Naoya Inoue wants a supposedly tune-up fight or keep busy fight, then why not give it to TJ Doheny? Let's, what's that, Damien? Let's go Blues. Stop Freo from getting back in the 8. Just need to win this week. We do, mate. Or we need Freo to lose. Either way. Let's just forget about relying on other results, Damien. Let's just get the Blues over the line. And look, it looks like they'll play Brisbane in the first week of finals, which is not a tall, is a tall order. We did beat them earlier in the year, though, but they put us out in the finals last year. So, Ben was meant to be fighting Boots. There was talk about it, mate, but I've heard nothing about that. He seems to have been, or seems to be the missing man at the moment, doesn't he, Conor Ben? But that would be a pretty good fight. I'd like to see that fight, actually, Boots and Ben. I think Boots wins that fight, but a lot better than the fight they've got lined up for Boots against Caron anyway, mate. So you never know. But yeah, I haven't heard or seen anything about that for a while. Is it worrying that there is actually no formal announcement for the Tim versus Bakram fight, possibly trying to sort the undercard? Also, if CBS not next fight for Jai, who is next for Opataya? Yeah, well, it's when is the fight? October. We're still a couple of months away, Sam. Maybe there's trying to put, or what I say, cross the T's and dot the I's, maybe. But there hasn't been obviously a press conference or anything yet. But yeah, it's not a bad call. This is for Tim Tszyu and Bakram Motazaliev. It was October 19th, so yeah, it's 8 to 9 weeks away. So maybe give it another couple of weeks, mate. And if it's not done within 2 weeks, or maybe 3 even, I'd be probably starting to panic a bit. But it sounds like they've at least come to terms. That's probably a good thing. But until it's signed and we see him at a press conference, then maybe it's not done. I'm hoping it will be, but let's just wait and see. If CBS is not next for Jai, who is? There's a couple they're looking at. Sam, I won't betray my confidentiality, but I did have a talk to Mick Francis, and he did let me know a few potential opponents. But as I said, I won't mention them on here, but they have got options. Don't worry about that. Jai Patai interviews are gold. He's just full beast mode while being likeable at the same time. I love Jai Patai, Sam. He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. If you ever meet him in person, he's a lovely, lovely guy. That typical Pacific Islander, man, very respectful, very courteous. He'll take a photo with anyone. He'll talk to anyone. But if you want to do a stare down with him on the other side of the ring, then he's got the Terminator looks, hasn't he? He's a killer. An absolute killer. And you can see his mood sort of, his whole demeanour just changes. And I saw it with, who was the Pommy he knocked out in one round? They were going back and forth, and then you see his demeanour just change like that. And he just goes from, yeah, okay, you want to joke around to, all right, you want it, you got it. So, no, massive fan of Jai, mate. Just saw Ibi Bella, officially number 15 in the IBF. Massive opportunities there. All you got to be is ranked in the top 15, Tommy, and then anything can happen. I must admit I haven't had a good look at the ratings in the last couple of weeks since he fought. So, yeah, that's massive. And history shows you've just got to be ranked in the top 15, and a voluntary defence could be coming your way. So we saw it with, I remember, Luke Jackson against Carl Frampton. Luke hadn't really beaten anyone of note in the world, but he won those regional belts, got himself ranked in the top 15. Carl Frampton said, well, I want a voluntary. Who we got? Yep, he fits the bill, and Luke Jackson gets a world title fight. So could Ibi Bella be in the same boat? So, yeah, it is massive. What's that, Damien? Has Premium Economy got more padding in the seats? They certainly do, Damien. They certainly do. I've done it a couple of times, and very, very comfortable, and got plenty of rest. And the whole 2-3-2 configuration just fits really, really well. Lots more room, and a lot more comfortable than economy. That's for sure. My channel is Aussie Boxing Talk. Says Big J, old man Big J on YouTube. Oh, sorry, old mate Big J on YouTube. All right, so check him out if you haven't yet. Don't you remember Paulie Fennick, the guy off Fat Pizza, Jeff's cousin? No, I haven't seen that, Damien. Sorry, mate. Fat Pizza. There you go. No, I don't get out much, mate, so I didn't see that. I remember, who was the rugby league guy? Mario Fennick. I remember him. I think he's related to Jeff as well, isn't he? Well, they're friends anyway. But, yeah, I remember him. He's the only other Fennick I know. Weren't a lot of Jeff's early fights 15 rounds. They certainly were, mate. His first, was it both Shingaki fights, the Jerome Coffey fight, the Stephen McCrory fight were all 15-round fights, if you can believe that. And he fought very, very regularly. He probably fought, 4 times a year? Just crazy. And like Lester, he was the same. He won the world title in, I think, February, fought in April, and then again in July. So and these were 50. I think the one Kilyu fight was 15 rounds. The Sequenin fight was 13 rounds. Probably felt like 30 rounds afterwards. That's the amount of punishment that was dished out. And then the Barry Michael fight was 15 rounds as well. So 3 15-round fights in 6 months, or 5 months. So just crazy. But yep, they were double G. So he went. So the first Shingaki fight went 9. The second Shingaki fight went 3. Then he had the Zaragoza fight in between, which was 10. These are all within the space of a couple of months of each other. So then he went 15 with Jerome Coffey, and then 14 rounds with Steve McCrory after that. Andy says, I was a kid hanging out with my mate, the publican's son, at a local pub, screening the fight when Hitman Harding won that world title. Yeah, great memories, mate, wasn't it? Awesome. Yeah, still plenty of time to announce the Tszyu fight. I agree, Batman. All right, guys, keep the comments coming. I think we've got to the end there. I think, yes, we have. What else has been going on at the moment? We've still got about, still a little bit of time to go. So let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about there. Where's that comment there? But yeah, still plenty of time to announce the Tszyu fight, I would think. As I said, I've got a feeling they're probably still sorting out contracts and maybe just certain particulars. You got to remember, dealing with these contracts, it's one thing to say, we agree to the fight. Maybe just the principle, I'm just trying to spit that out. The principle of the fight has been agreed upon, but then they've got to sit down. They've got to work out purses. They've got to work out obviously where the fight is, arena, all that sort of stuff. I know it's in Orlando. Although you would think though, if they've announced the fight for Orlando, that they would have a venue in mind. I'm pretty sure that Jason Maloney fought for his world title in Orlando as well. So there's that. Then there'd be all the particulars of, airfares, accommodation, not purses, all the little things. But when they've got lawyers involved, they have to, again, tick the I's. Sorry, tick the I's and cross the T's, if I can spit that out properly. It's been a long night. But all those little things, the lawyers go back and forth and all the rest of it, and then they announce the fight. So once that's done, I'm sure there'll be plenty of time. And I would think even with just 6 weeks' time, I think they would be fine. Andy, hopefully Turkey doesn't spoil the party for Tim out of spite. IBF and WBO generally better than WBC, WBA, with moving mandatory lines. Though, is a blessing that fell into Tim's lap on circumstance. Well, mate, 100% he is very, very fortunate, because it looked there at one stage he was going to be frozen out of proceedings, and all of a sudden we're looking at Crawford, Madramayev, we're looking at Ortiz and Boachuk, we're looking at Fundora, Spence. The only one that was left obviously was Murtazalyov, and even that didn't look possible at one stage. But all of a sudden, Tim's back in the mix, and I just don't think he'll be taking it for granted this time of being part of the gang, because he was out pretty quick after that Fundora fight. So I'm just really glad that he's got a shot now, and once he wins that belt, then he's back amongst it, and all those top guys will be looking to fight him. So Damien, any news on the Maloney's? Not much at the moment. We're trying to look at, I know they're looking at the Mexican in a rematch. I know the Mexican maybe had someone else they were looking at, unless we can get the rematch with Andy sort of signed off by, lots of water to go on the bridge anyway, but I know that's who they're looking at, and I'm not quite sure what's happening with Jason. I haven't spoke to the boys for a while, but rest assured with Tony Tolge and Angelo Hyder running things, then be guaranteed there'll be lots going on behind the scenes. Paul, are you doing a watch along for Tszyu Mazudia? Yes. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Tszyu Mazudia. Yes, I will be, Paul. I'll put it up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So, yeah, so that's not this Wednesday, the one after. So the card will start at about 7 o'clock. So tune in if you haven't done it before. It's a really good night to do it. It's like watching the boxing with your mates. It's not a free stream. It's just me watching the fights, interacting with all you guys interacting with each other. So, yeah, check it out. August the 28th from 7 p.m. And it looks like, what's the card? So it's Tszyu Mazudia. We've got Zarafa, Tommy Brown, Connor Wallace, and Jerome Pampelone, which will be a ripper fight. And the girls will be good as well. We've got Jazzy Parr and Amber Amelia. So some really good fights on that card. So make sure you check it out. Buy the pay-per-view, or if you can't, get on here and I'll give you all the live updates as we're going. Double G says, do you think Tim will have to make a lot of concessions contractually? Well, he might, Double G. And that's why it wasn't in Australia, because there's no way Murtazalyov as a champion would say, well, I'm not going to come to Australia. I'm the champion, and not going to happen. So, but I would think that Tim would say, look, I just want to fight for the belt. You want to come out first, that's great. You want to be introduced first, that's great. You want to, if it's a 55-45 split of the money, whatever it is, I think Tim will just take what he thinks is a fair offer. Not try and push the envelope too much. Just take the opportunity and then cash in on it later. So even if you don't get the payday you're after, just take the fight, get the belt, and then those massive paydays are going to follow after that against the elite fighters in that division. So sometimes you've got to give it a little bit to get a lot back down the track and look big picture. So knowing Tim, I don't think he's gonna cause too much dramas for Murtazalyov's team. Don't do it. Save the $70, says Damien. Come on, Damien. All right, surprised I wasn't in Australia, though. Orlando doesn't make much sense, but either way, as long as it happens. There's lots of reasons why it happens, Batman, as you know. I mean, I was in Shawnee, Oklahoma last year for George Kambosos being an Aussie, fighting Maxie Hughes, who's an Englishman, in Oklahoma. Shawnee, Oklahoma. Population of about 3,000 people. And it was there that, you know, different towns or cities put up money and incentives and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not sure Orlando seems to scream boxing capital or, you know, a boxing town, but who knows what incentives they've got to put that fight on there. But an Australian Russian versus another Russian, just, it doesn't make much sense to me. So, but I'm sure there's a good reason for it. Just like when Jason Maloney, an Aussie, fought Emmanuel Rodriguez, a Puerto Rican, in Orlando. So your guess is as good as mine, mate, but I don't care as long as the fight goes on. Damien, 100% Tim's next fight should be in Australia. Not sure he wants to come back to Australia, Damien. I don't think it's any disrespect to us Aussies. I just think he feels he's hit the big time now, and the big time in boxing is the States. And whether that's Orlando, whether it's New York, whether it's Las Vegas, whether it's LA, it doesn't really matter. I think preferably he'll want to base himself for all his fights going forward in the States. There might be one or two he might throw in there to come back to Australia if there's some massive money being thrown at him, and maybe he just wants an in-between fight or whatever it might be. But all those big fights will be in the States, and I think that's what he wants. So, g'day, Steve Batman. Stephen Bateman. Sorry, how are you there, mate? It's pretty odd, this whole Tim Tszyu situation. You'll agree it is odd. I will agree, Stephen, and I just can't wait. Sorry, I thought I got it wrong there. Yeah, it is. I'm hoping and looking forward to when the announcement officially comes and we know it's signed, sealed, and delivered. And, you know, look, one thing about No Limit, they do get the job done. I don't think there's been an example of at any stage where they haven't got it done for Tim. I know everyone will maybe bring up the Sebastian Fundora situation, but again, we don't know exactly what went on behind closed doors. But so far, when it comes to getting the big fights for Tim, they've always delivered. So yes, it's odd, but I'm going to put my faith in the boys that they will get this job done. And sometimes a bit of a hint comes from looking at different things, whether it be on social media or whatever. And Glenn Jennings has shared a fair bit about this fight on his social media pages. That goes to show me that we're getting there. We're on the right path, and maybe an announcement is imminent. So let's just see. Paul, you're a sicko. You'll pay for the fight. Well, I'll be paying for it. I'd pay for it anyway. Look, again, I understand $70 is a lot of money, but I think it's a really good quality card. I really do. Don't buy the pay-per-view. Tune into this great watch-along. Yep. Well, if you don't want to watch it or can't watch it for any reason, tune in. I'll be doing the prelims are more so just talking through it and giving sort of regular updates. But then when we get to probably the main, co-main, or those probably going to be 3 fights I'll sort of commentate on: Zarafa, Brown, Pampalone, and Wallace, and of course the main event. That's more of a commentating sort of role rather than just the updates as we go. If Tim was the mandatory, why wouldn't the Rose brothers go to purse bids? Yeah, good call. There hasn't been much said about the purse bids, has there? Maybe, yeah, well, maybe PBC just said, well, we're putting it on, and the Rose brothers just said, okay. Don't know. What was Oklahoma like? Everything I thought it would be, Damien. I absolutely loved Oklahoma. I loved the whole South, the South of America. I loved it. I flew from Melbourne to Dallas, drove from Dallas 3 hours to Shawnee, Oklahoma. While I was there, I did go to Oklahoma City, which is about a 45-minute drive. Did all the Oklahoma bombing monument and all that sort of stuff. It was really cool. I loved it. And then from Oklahoma, drove to Memphis, a 6-hour drive to Memphis. Loved it, stopping at all the towns along the way. And then another 6-hour drive to Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, and absolutely loved that as well. So, mate, I just love America, but particularly Southern America. Absolutely loved it. Plenty of Russians in New York. That would make way more sense. Yeah, good call. Tim versus Buckram should be lit. Tim just has to be careful dealing with PBC again, though. PBC always puts PBC house fighters first, understandably, but should run over Lubin. If third versus Jamal would also be lit too, yeah. I think they sort of know the pitfalls. They've just got to keep winning, don't they, Andy? That's what Tim's got to do. I think PBC would see the upside in having Tim being part of the stable and winning, of course. But, I think he should be careful. But I think they've learned a lot from all parties from the Fundora experience. I think you'll see a lot more educated team behind Tim this time. And Tim himself dealing at that level. So, Tim Buckram's supposed to be in Florida. Yep, Orlando, Florida, Andy. So if you're going over there, tied in with a holiday, go to Disney World, Universal Studios, all that sort of stuff. Plenty to do in Florida. So get down there and check it out. A big flight though, Andy. You've got to go to LA or Dallas and then across to Florida. It is a big flight. Big J, good thing that Murtazaliev didn't come to Australia. All travelling, if champions to Australia. Oh, yeah, all travelling champions have lost their belts. Yep. The Japanese and Korean fighters in the 80s and Breeders in 2022. Yep. It's no different than any other country, I wouldn't have thought, though. Big J, I mean, look back at the days of Germany and those types of countries, even sometimes in England, Japan, Korea, wherever it might be. I think it happens in every country, but if you're the champion, or if I held a belt, there's no way I'd be going to my opposition's hometown or home country unless I was getting substantially looked after financially. And Jason Maloney just did it recently. He was the champion, but he went to Japan because the payday was probably about 3 or 4 times more than he'd probably get here in Australia on the Kambosos and Lomachenko card. So can't blame him. Money talks, remember. But yeah, I don't think it's any different than any other country, mate. But good point there. Yeah, don't forget Pac-Man and Horn. Well, still think Jeff Horn won that fight. Thought he won it 7 rounds to 5. All right, Damien. Larry, how you going, mate? Really hope I'm wrong around my possible Zerv versus Murtazaliev fight. Why is the fight in Florida? I hope Tim and his team knows what they're doing. I think they do, Larry. I think they fancy themselves. They can get the job done no matter where it is. The site does surprise me, but there's got to be a reason behind it. I don't care where it is. It can be in Timbuktu. Let's just hope Tim gets the fight firstly and then wins the belt. Great stylistic fight for Tim. I expect him to take out Murtazaliev and look sharp doing it. I think Murtazaliev, his style is all tailor-made for Tim Batman. I think he's a bit loose, a bit wild with his punches, not overly fast, not a massive puncher. He can punch, but I just think everything that he's got, I think Tim, he's got a lot better technique, skill, power, speed, everything, you name it, footwork. I think Tim has got Murtazaliev covered in every area. Don't get me wrong, he will be extremely tough and he'll be there from probably the first round to the end. But I just think Tim stylistically wins that fight pretty comfortably, if I'm being honest. Be a good holiday to Florida. Certainly would, mate. I've been there a couple of times. It is a great place for a holiday. Tszyu Murtazaliev is an absolutely brilliant fight. If people want to go watch a fantastic fight, watch Murtazaliev versus Kolke. Awesome Ward versus Gaddy-like fight. That was a brilliant fight. That was his last fight too, I think, Larry, wasn't it, for Murtazaliev? He's tough as nails, but as I heard, he had some trouble making weight as he's big for the weight and often fades late. Tim is a harder, more accurate puncher and could take advantage of that. Yep, I think Tim wins, no doubt for me, Larry. All right, I've got a few more comments before we call it a night. All IBF champs that travel to Oz lose their belts to the Aussie challenger. The Japanese and Korean fighters in 85, so Shingaki and Wan Kill Yu. Both were beaten pretty comprehensive, if you ask me, though, Big Joe. I don't think either fight was close. Breeders in 22, I don't think the fight was close either. I thought Jai won that fight. I know he had his moments, but I thought he won 9 or 10, 9, if not 10 of those rounds. So probably good Murtazaliev doesn't come here. Stats not in his favour. Yeah, not in his favour, but I think it's not like any of those fights were rip-offs either, I don't reckon. So I thought all the Aussies won quite clearly. But again, if you're the champion and there's not a lot of difference in the money side of things, then again, why risk it? It's like playing a game of football or basketball, whatever it is, on your opponent's home deck, they've automatically got probably 25% extra advantage. So, yep, tailor-made. Tszyu would dominate him. Yes, Andy, subscribe, share, and smash that like button, please. I hope the Fundora fight is right after. Well, it's interesting, Damien, because not much is happening as far as Fundora goes. There was the talk, of course, of Spence, but not really anything's been said. Now, that fight was talked about for October or November, but we've heard nothing. There was no official, probably like the Tszyu and Murtazalia fight. It hasn't been anything actually official just yet. So if it doesn't happen, maybe Fundora says, all right, well, I just might take the rest of the year off and heal and come back and fight Tim in early 2025. So we'll see. To be fair, we have seen more and more fights being moved to Florida and Orlando. Teofimo fought there sometimes. The mid-level fights in terms of hype are often held there. Maybe a taxing. Yeah, well, I know, what is it? New York, is it? I think they tax you really, really heavily in New York, I think it is. Or is it LA? One of them's that way where I think one of them a Canelo, one of those fighters. It must be New York, I would say. Doesn't like the fight there because of the amount of tax that he pays. I'm not sure, but it probably makes sense there, Larry. And maybe I'm not sure they have the same thing there as what we have here, where they pay big money for site fees and to have events in the cities. I'm not sure that's the same way over there. So it's a bit odd. It really is. But again, like you said, Teofimo's fought there. Jason fought. Rodriguez fought there. So, Maloney fought Rodriguez there. So I don't know, but I'm sure there's a good reason anyway. I'll have a Snickers before next week's episode, I promise. Maybe just a couple of Snickers there, Dave. Maybe have one in the afternoon and another one before you watch on here. I get a bit worried about you sometimes. You got to take a breath sometimes, mate. Larry, is it just me, or is there barely any fights scheduled for the rest of the year? For a boxing addict, it's upsetting that they choose to hype up meaningless junk like Paul versus Tyson rather than real boxing. Well, what do we got? So we've got Better Beav and Bivol in October. We've got Anthony Joshua and Dubois in September. So that's obviously a big fight. We look through it. We've got Canelo and Belunga. Then we've got Joshua and Dubois. Then we've got Better Beav and Bivol. Throw in Tim and Murtazalia in there as well. We've got Usyk and Fury. They're probably the biggest fights for this year. So a fair bit to look forward to. But, yeah, look, I'm sort of satisfied, I suppose. But let's see if they have any other fights that get made in the meantime. I'm hoping we see Liam Paro again before the end of the year. Maybe George Kambosos before the end of the year. You would think that we would see, hopefully, maybe Tank Davis or Shakur or Virgil Ortiz in big fights. So you never know. We'll just... And like you said there, mate, there's always Jake Paul and Mike Tyson to look forward to. How was that press conference today? I'm going to cover that in my Walking Boxing in the morning, so check that out. I don't like to normally cover that shit, but fair dinkum. They're taking the piss. Pac-Man was WBO, but I see your point. Yep. Tyson versus Paul. Wow. Yeah, I will say Tyson didn't look in too bad of Nick, but Barry Hall looked pretty good too, didn't he? And look what happened there. So anyway. All right, guys, we've got a couple minutes to go. If you've got any more comments, make sure you put them in there. We'll finish up. So just to recap what's happening over the next sort of week or so. So we've got Walking Boxings every day. And I might even try and do that when I'm overseas. Let's see if I can just do it. I might do it on the battlefield of Gettysburg. I might do it. I might feel a little bit awkward doing it in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where Fight 93 went down. I might do it at Muhammad Ali's training camp. I'll do it there. I'll definitely do it on the Rocky Steps. So there you go. We'll do it on the Rocky Steps. We'll do it in Muhammad Ali's camp in Deer Lake. And we'll do it on the battlefield of Gettysburg. And then, of course, we'll do it in Vegas. So I'll try and maybe it might not be every single day, but I'm going to give as much input or feedback as I can. There will be daily vlogs every single day. I think I'll make sure they go on at about sort of between 6 and 7 at night Australian time. So I'll upload them. So make sure you look at that. We've got, I think, 2 more Talking Boxings before I go as well. Plus, we've got the watch along on the 28th. Nikita and Mizudia. I think they're the only Oh, that is the only sort of card coming up. Premier Boxing Series. I'm not sure if there might be one. I might do the next one. I almost did Saturday nights, but I couldn't be bothered, if I'm being honest. The footy was on. There's lots. I just couldn't be bothered. And it wasn't the biggest card of all time, but we might do the next Premier Boxing Series as well. All right. Hope we aren't facing a future where the only real boxing we will see is the undercards on influencer fights. That would be a very grim future. That's why it's so important getting new fans. Well, on the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson card too, it hasn't really been given any attention whatsoever, is Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano too. That's the reason I'll be watching. And I'll watch the card. It's free on Netflix. So of course, we're all going to watch it. So I get that. And really good call by Netflix when you think about it. They put a massive amount of money into TV shows and series and movies, all this sort of stuff. So why not create content that is sport? I love the venture into this, because a lot of people are saying, well, why would Netflix do this and have it free? They have X amount of budget to put into TV shows and series. So again, as I said, why shouldn't boxing or doubt be UFC, but why shouldn't sporting events be any different? Where you're not charging for them, but you put it into the budget of your yearly production events, what you're doing, or shows or events, whatever it might be. I think it makes great sense to get more subscribers to Netflix. Brilliant move. Look up Fight Facts. I certainly will, mate. I'll do that. No worries, Paul. Glad you liked the show, mate. Got a couple to get through there, and then we'll call it a night. Thoughts on Turkey and the Saudis creating the Saudi League with only one belt? Good for boxing, or does it mean less big title fights and less contenders having a shot? Is monopolization good? I don't think it's good at all, Larry. I don't like the Saudi League. This is a world boxing organization. I don't like the fact they've limited it to the Saudi League. I don't like it at all. If you want to call it the World Boxing League or whatever you might want to call it, that's great. Or create some other name. I don't mind them having their own belt and fighting for it, maybe making it attractive enough that all the elite fighters in the world want to come and fight for it. I understand that, but I definitely don't like the Saudi League belt, if that's what they call it, and I don't like monopolization, no matter how you look at it. Yep, you have to do the jog on the stairs. I'll be doing that, mate. As silly as it's going to look, I will do it, Steve. I'll jump on the stairs and do the Rocky thing, and I'll get a photo with the statue as well. And it's good. The guy that actually takes the tour is a Rocky impersonator, so it should be pretty cool. So I'm getting a private tour as well. I've paid to have the whole little thing. Normally you might have sort of half a dozen of you. I'm going by myself. I paid the extra so that I have no one else with me. I want him all to myself, and get the full deal on the Rocky tour. So guys, let's call it a night. We've got a couple of minutes left, but I think we will end it at that. I really appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you check out every day walking boxing of a morning, and of course, as I said, the next 2 Monday nights with talking boxing and the watch along on the 28th. So guys, have a great week, and we'll catch you next time.